In today's class, let us try to understand what is Renaissance. So, right in previous class, we have studied how the India was progressing from medieval ages to modern ages. So, what were the developments that were responsible that we have studied in yesterday's class or the previous class? So, in today's class, we are going to learn about the Renaissance. Okay, what exactly is this Renaissance? So, see, with reference to Europe, so we are going to discuss about this Renaissance. When we discuss the developmental points that helped Europe to progress from medieval age to modern age, there was also a reference of this point called, you know, Renaissance, right? So we have also had this point called Renaissance. Now, the term Renaissance means rebirth or revival. So what do you mean by Renaissance here? It means the rebirth or revival. So that means what exactly is taking new form? Understood? So here, complete transformation of certain thing, you can call it as rebirth or revival. Revive it. That means you make it again into a new form. So, or you bring the original form to its state. Understood? So Renaissance is a phenomenon, is a process which occurred in Europe, and it helped Europe to have a rebirth. That means to born again in terms of its culture, in terms of its practices, in terms of the growth of man. You take any aspect, in all such things, a new birth has taken place or revival has taken place. It is used for the movement that began in Italy in the 14th century. So, this term Renaissance has been used for a movement that has begun in Italy in 14th century and later on spread to other countries of Europe. So within Europe, so in Italy in 14th century, this process, so you all know that the medieval age has transformed into modern age by 15th century in Europe. But the foundations for this transformation have begun in 14th century, and in that 14th century, the process of slowly transforming in various aspects have started in Italy. So Italy was the first country in Europe to have the process of rebirth or revival, to get begin with the process of rebirth or revival. And from Italy, it got spread to other countries of Europe. So from there, slowly, through various means and methods, the revival phenomenon or the movement, it's called a movement, right? So for a change, people always revolt or no, they bring a movement for a change. So such a change was first started in Italy, and slowly it got spread to other parts of Europe. And this movement aimed at reviving the classical heritage of Europe, from which it had been separated for almost 8 centuries. So, this movement started in Italy. What for this movement has started? The movement has begun for an aim. So that aim is reviving the classical heritage of Europe. So I told you that the Romans have conquered this Europe and they have completely changed the practices of Europeans. So these Romans, when they got declined, the ch chance has come for people of Europe, different kingdoms of Europe, to revive their previous cultures. So under Romans, they were having the influence of the Romans. The Romans have forcibly converted many Europeans into their culture. So now the Europeans got a chance, as the Romans declined, to revive their culture back, to get their original culture back. And almost for a period of 8 centuries, Europe has been separated from its heritage. So heritage is nothing but its glory. Every particular kingdom has their own kind of culture, their own kind of glory. their own kind of history. So every part of Europe was having such things. But when Romans occupied them, they were under the they were completely under the influence of Romans. The Romans forced these Europeans to always follow their gods, their culture, I know many such things. But now the Europeans have refused. Now the Europeans have got a chance to revive their original cultures, which they have been deprived from 8 centuries. So almost a period of 8 centuries, 800 years, they were completely under the influence or the forcible influence of Romans. So Renaissance is nothing but several European kingdoms trying to get back to their original cultures or original ways and means. So let us understand in detail what is this Renaissance, how it happened. So in trying to understand this Renaissance, so let us see some of the important features of Renaissance. So we are learning about Renaissance, which began in Italy of Europe, which got spread into other parts. And now, what are the features of this Renaissance? So what features or what characters will prove that, yes, there was a revival of the previous cultures of Europeans that we will learn here. First thing is humanism. So what is this humanism? So the word humanism itself is suggesting that something very the focus is on human beings, right? Humanism means that there is there is a discussion on humanity. There is some kind of development or there is some kind of revival happened in human nature. So let us see what it is. So it refers to a system of thought that considers solving human problems with the help of reason as more important than religious beliefs. So here, see, it refers to a system of thought. System of thought means a particular group of scholars, they started thinking about the importance of human beings. So they understood how important these human beings are and the shift of the scholars, that means the thought process of the scholars or the thinking process of the scholars, certain scholars, was on human problems. So they understood that there were a lot of problems that human beings are facing. So they focused on human problems and they wanted to consider these human problems to be solved. So humanism is a concept brought by a group of scholars who always thought that human problems should be solved. And how human problems can be solved? So these human problems can be solved with the help of reason. Understood? So with the help of reason, they wanted to solve, not by religious beliefs. So it is never by religious beliefs. So the human problems must be solved by reason, not religious beliefs. Understood? So certain group of scholars believed that human beings are to be given more importance. And while giving importance to human beings, what they wanted to change, they wanted to solve the human problems. How they wanted to solve the human problems? By reasons, not by religious beliefs. So earlier, human beings used to depend for their solutions for different problems on religion and its beliefs. Suppose as a common human beings, if we get some problem, immediately we resort to our gods of religion, and immediately we start doing some rituals and many other such things. So this kind of religious dependency of man for solution of his problems was stopped. Some scholars, who are called humanists, these humanists started saying that go for a reason why there is a problem. So try to analyze the reason of a problem and try to solve it instead of believing on the religion. So it emphasized the dignity of man. So this is how the shift of thought has happened. Slowly, human beings were changing in the society. They started, till then, they used to think that yes, for any problem, they used to look around the religious or the priest or somebody else. Now, they started thinking, what is problem? What is the reason for my problem? So that reasoning was started in human beings, which is a important revival of the previous people. They considered the dignity of man. So, in solving the problems of human being, these humanists always gave importance to the dignity of man, and it defended man's right to pleasure and the satisfaction of worldly desires. So, when they wanted to solve the problems, ultimately, human beings or man, they wanted to be happy, right? By fulfilling their desires, man will always try to become happy. And this was always defended by these humans. They said there is nothing wrong in having desires and fulfilling them for being happy. Some group of people, they have, what you call, they have forced these people to not have desires. I know they have made people not to have any kind of satisfaction, pleasure. They always wanted human beings to humiliate. But humanists, they said that their focus is on humanity, solving human problems, and there is nothing wrong for human beings to have pleasure and satisfaction of worldly desires. In fact, the humanists consider it is a right of a man. Okay, so they consider that it's a man's right. Thus, man became the focus of study during the Renaissance. So, like this, now the humanists gave most focus on, man. So man, his problems, these things became very important for humanists to study. And the Renaissance thinkers like Francisco Patrick, Giovanni Boccaccio, they were referred as humanists, and they shifted the focus of man from spiritualism to worldly affairs. So why? See, during medieval ages, there was more reference to spiritualism, right? Christianity, church, and even you take Romans, they were all forcing people to move towards spiritualism. They always wanted to depend for human beings on the spiritual aspects. But humanists like Francisco Petrarch and Giovanni Boccaccio, they said enough. Spiritualism is not needed now. Instead, you focus on the man. So when man undergoes some kind of worldly things, he must have that right. It is man's right to have pleasure, to have happiness without, it is his right for satisfaction and all such things. So these thinkers like Francisco and Giovanni, they were referred as humanists because these people, these scholars, they were always thinking about human beings. Their focus was on human problems, and human desires and dignity. So, to focus on human beings, they asked people to stop concentrating on spiritualism, where always, religion, rituals, all such things come under spiritualism. So, these scholars asked people to stop depending on spiritual aspects and start focusing on yourself. If you want to solve your problems, find out the reason for the problem and try to solve it and try to live happily. So this was the kind of important feature that Renaissance gave. So these scholars came up with this kind of new concepts from during the process of Renaissance. So after this kind of concepts called humanism, then Renaissance also promoted the spirit of inquiry. So what is this spirit of inquiry? Inquiry means trying to analyze on your own. and understand the things. So what happened? There was a spirit of inquiry among people. So people started inquiring into various aspects which they have never done. So here, the Renaissance has produced a spirit of inquiry and a sense of curiosity. So whenever they felt the society was, undergoing transformation, during transformation, see how a society changed only when they question the existing practices. So that is called inquiry. So the spirit of inquiry, that means trying to know, understand what is true, what is not true, it comes under inquiry. And a sense of curiosity, that means yes, we have to find out what truth is. These two things have driven human beings to question and to know the why and how of things. So whatever things were happening in society, because of this kind of thinking that started in human beings, they started questioning everything as why and how. Suppose if some practice is introduced, suppose they said you should worship all these gods, then people started questioning why I have to worship the gods. See, I'm just saying for your understanding, they questioned everything what was present in society. They never stopped. I mean, during Renaissance, people never accepted anything easily. They always questioned why and how. Okay, so why was one thing they questioned and how. So these two things made people to know think about things very curiously. And the spirit of inquiry promoted a scientific approach. When they got the curiosity to know about something in a very honest way, the approach has become very scientific. The people, they never believed anything without having a rational thinking. Without thinking, seeing, observing, understanding it, people stopped believing things. So if they got to believe anything, they started questioning the things, started understanding how the things are. So when they questioned why and how, then it became a scientific approach. Even see, if I say that I'll do some kind of magic to you, and you believe that yes, I have some powers, it becomes a belief, right? But if you question me, how could you do that? Why are you doing this? Then the kind of inquiry that you are doing is scientific inquiry, right? Unless you experience, you observe, and you try to find out, it never becomes scientific. So this kind of scientific approach has came up among the people of Europe because of Renaissance, and people began to reason people began to reason before arriving at a conclusion. Earlier, they used to believe whatever somebody says, or if Roman says or somebody says, they believed blindly. Now they began to reason it. They started analyzing the reasons why a particular king is asking us, for asking us to follow this particular rule, why a particular god is asked to worship, or how it is there. Is it really necessary? They started questioning many things. Earlier they blindly believed, now they wanted reasons. This kind of reason and inquiry created scientific approach, and when scientific approach became, science does this, right? Science doesn't believe anything blindly. It always questions the practices, right? So science, scientific approach has came up in people, and because of this scientific approach, they started explorations and expeditions. Exploration is finding out new places, expedition is going on a voyage and other places to probe into every realm of knowledge. So in those days, whatever knowledge that people has got, okay, all that knowledge has been questioned, all that knowledge has been explored, and inquired, and trying to understand what is truth. So this spirit of inquiry played a very important role among people. So with this inquiry spirit, people started changing. And then comes rationalism. So what is rationalism? So the scholars of Renaissance, okay, the scholars of Renaissance period are known as rationalists. So rationalism is nothing but trying to think and what is good and what is bad, what is correct and what is not correct. This kind of analysis done by any person is referred as rationalist. These rationalists never accept anything blindly. They see the good and bad, they see the scientific and unscientific part, and then they come to conclusion. So the scholars of Renaissance, they were called as rationalists because they questioned everything. They didn't believe anything blindly. These rationalists, they rejected all that was based on superstition. Superstition means blind belief. So these rationalists who belonged to Renaissance period, they questioned everything and they rejected all the things based on superstition. They questioned the authority of the church. They said what right the church is having to question the, these rationalists, they have questioned the church. What right the church is having to dictate terms for people? How the church is trying to involve in political affairs of kings? So these rationalists started questioning the church and it refused to follow its teachings and authority blindly. The rationalists, until they get a proper answer from the church, they said they were not going to accept church and follow its teachings blindly. So this was a very good phenomenon that happened in society. These rationalists developed rational thinking and judged everything on the basis of reason. So without proper reason, the rationalists, they have never accepted the church or its practices or any kind of thing in society. So this is about the spirit of inquiry and rationalism. So, so as the same thing, rationalism, it got repeated here. So same rationalism, whichever we have discussed. And then comes the glorification of human form. See, a group of scholars, they glorified human beings. They consider human beings as wonderful beings. So there started a great change again. The Renaissance scholars and artists glorified human body. So they consider certain group of scholars and artists, okay, especially artists if you take, they glorified human body. See, you can look at the picture here, right? So if you look at the picture here, then you will understand what exactly is the importance for human body. So, they consider that the paintings which were drawn by great artists or the sculptures given by artists, they were all very important. So the Renaissance was full of faith that a man with an active mind and body was capable of knowing and controlling the world. So scholars who glorified human beings or artists who believed that human beings are so great, they started giving, drawing several paintings. The sculptors drawn several, the sculptors have made certain statues where now the glorification of human body has been done. So they understood that they were full of faith. These people, the rationalists in Renaissance, they were full of faith that a person with active mind, that means who always questions, and body, okay, who is physically healthy, person with questioning mind and physically healthy, they are capable of knowing and controlling the world. So whoever is physically fit and who is having an active mind, inquiring mind, they will be always controlling the world and fashioning his own happiness. So such people will always, you know, find their happiness with very ease. Although the Renaissance artists, so these Renaissance artists, they took the subjects from the Bible. Okay, they portrayed the human form in all its earthly beauty and vigor. See, artists, they always have some kind of motivation to paint some pictures. So when they try to paint some pictures and when they try to glorify the human physical body, they need some source of motivation. That information they took it from Bible. Suppose you take Jesus Christ. Okay, he was made he was what you call crucified on a cross. While he was crucified, he was taken on a cross like this, and this painting would reflect the great sorrow of Christ, right? This was taken as a source, as motivation, and they have started drawing many new paintings. Suppose you look at the painting here, it shows no that somebody is taking care of a person who is completely in sorrow, right? So such kind of paintings have started, and they portrayed the human form in all its earthly beauty and vigor. So that means, like, vigor means the way it is made. Originally, it is made. So they wanted these human figurines to be very natural. Uh, Statues were very strong when they were made by sculptors, and they exactly were saying how what was the emotion behind that painting or the statues. So this was about the glorifying of human. So coming to the impact of Renaissance. So as we have just now studied the features of Renaissance, let us study what was the impact of this Renaissance. So here, the Renaissance left a deep impact on every aspect of life. So you take any person's life in Europe, it has its impact. The Renaissance had its impact. You take painting, there was a change of painting. So if you take painting, no, earlier Romans, no, they were forcing people to not to have certain kind of paintings, but the scholars, they started changing the way the artist gets inspired. So new kind of paintings came up. Architecture, the construction of buildings, literature, the way they write books, science, which was never allowed by Romans, all such aspects, and human thinking, they were all reflected in the Renaissance. Renaissance helped people to reflect their ideas or thoughts in painting, architecture, literature, science, and above all, human thinking. So how human being was thinking, this kind of Renaissance helped human beings to have a altogether a different kind of thinking. So you take artists of Renaissance period, they freed themselves from the medieval rules and traditions. See, the artists were never, I'll tell you in a simple way here. The artists were never allowed to take up certain themes and colors. They were restricted not to go for certain kind of colors and certain kind of concepts for their painting. Now they have freed themselves from this kind of medieval rules, who the artists, and they made realistic paintings and glorified human form. So once they got free of the medieval aged rules and regulations, artists, they started having realistic paintings, and they started glorifying the human physical form in their paintings. They painted directly on plastered walls called frescoes. So the walls which were plastered, which were nicely plastered, all these walls were painted, and these walls were referred as frescoes. Earlier, wall painting and all were not allowed by medieval aged people. Later, the artists took freedom because they were out of their traditional thinking. They were free of their traditional regulations and rules. So they started painting all humanoid form of paintings on walls. And the most famous of Renaissance artists were Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael. So these three people, Leonardo da Vinci, which you know, right? He was famous for his, Mona Lisa painting, which even today, the scholars were feeling difficult. I mean, they were trying to find. I think they have established what was the emotion of Mona Lisa, but it was such a great painting which Leonardo da Vinci has drawn, Michelangelo and Raphael. These were the great artists who brought a revolutionary change in the form of creating arts. And the sculptors of Renaissance age were greatly influenced by humanism. So even if you take sculptors, sculptors means people who make statues. So these sculptors also started making humanoid statues. Earlier, they were not allowed this kind of humanoid statues. So detailed study of human anatomy carved the grace and beauty of human body in their sculptures. So if you look at the pictures of statues of these people, they were very nice. The human bodies were shaped very naturally. If you look at the statues of the Renaissance sculptors, they made human beings very natural, look very natural in their statues, and that was the beauty of their sculpture. There were many people who were, I mean, there are some great sculptors like Donatello, bronze statue of David, Michelangelo, who made a statue called Pieta, showing Mother Mary in a seated posture carrying the body of Jesus. So I think just now in the previous slide we have seen that, a lady holding a person. So he was Jesus Christ and Mary. This was never allowed by the medieval aged rulers, but now artists took that freedom and they have drawn such things. How a mother would grieve in sorrow when her son is found dead. So these kind of emotions were brought into arts and sculptures. So such was the influence of Renaissance.